Hi, friends. I'm Nicole Pence. Welcome to my new online home, this YouTube channel, and my new blog, NicolePence.com. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, here's how I used to introduce myself.
CBS 4 News at 5 o'clock. This weekend kicks off a huge week-long festival downtown. It's an urban kitchen with a mission. We've got thunderstorms here in central Indiana.
And as you may be aware, Governor Mike Pence is my uncle, and now that he has been chosen as Donald Trump's vice presidential running mate, to avoid any potential or perceived conflicts of interest, I will not be reporting or commenting personally on any national political news as it relates to the 2016 presidential election.
A Columbus, Indiana native with a familiar last name, switching gears from delivering local TV news on camera to raising her 4 young sons and starting her own business. Get to know Nicole Pence Becker on this edition of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by the talented Nicole Pence Becker. Nicole, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I love just having a conversation with you, Gary. I'm so, impressed with everything you've built and your team has built, and I'm enjoying listening to the podcast. So thanks for inviting me to be on.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And, sometimes it's easy to put a title on a guest, but with you, it's entrepreneur, journalist, former TV reporter, CEO, executive. You're the founder of Pence Media Group. How has life been after TV? It's funny, and you were probably in this boat too, but I know I was and many others. You get in the TV grind on a daily basis, and you think, God, is there really life after TV? And you get out and you find, yeah, there really is. How's it been for you?
There is life after TV. So for those of you who are in television, we can both confirm that that's not something that we just say happens. It did happen. I'll say though, taking a step back, I loved my career as a television journalist, as an anchor and reporter, Emmy winning, got to do some really cool stuff with some awesome, talented producers and news directors and videographers and editors. And to be honest, I actually wasn't trying to leave TV. I just had too many children in a very short amount of time. So I had twins, and then 12 months later, we welcomed our third son into the world. So with 3 sons birthed in 13 months, I could not wake up at 2:30 in the morning and anchor the television show at the time. And so I retired, but I kind of felt like the kids kicked me out. It has turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me and for our family. But that's kind of how it all initially happened. Family kind of took number one, and I'll never look back again.
Yeah, so I'm sure that was a tough decision, but the right decision.
It was. I changed 30 diapers a day, so it was a little monotonous. And then eventually, I looked at my husband, Jason Becker, and I said, honey, I love these children, but I've got to use my brain in a different way. And so slowly but surely started to think through what could I develop that would be useful to someone else, and they'd be interested in it. And that's how Pence Media Group started.
Let's go back a little further, though, Nicole. You had a successful career as a TV journalist here in Indianapolis at WTHR Channel 13, but you worked a couple of other places. I think Lexington, Kentucky, and then where in Indiana? Were you in Fort Wayne?
I was in Fort Wayne, and I loved Fort Wayne. I always tell everybody that it's like a hidden gem in Indiana. We've gone back to take the kids. So we went back for a visit, hung out downtown, which is incredible.
Isn't it amazing how what they have done with that downtown?
Totally. And I wish I was there for that. I would have loved to see all the tin caps come in and everything around. Right. And the Three Rivers Festival, still a thing, it just is really awesome. The Graduate Hotel, everything down, up in Fort Wayne has been impressive to watch from afar. And then, yes, I went to Lexington, which I will always argue if I could ever live anywhere else, I would live in Lexington, Kentucky. It's just got the coolest culture and the horse country and the bourbon country and then the UK Wildcats. I was in love with that environment, but then did come up to Indianapolis, started at WTHR, and then moved over to Fox 59 and CBS 4.
What drew you to TV news?
I was just always so curious. I have never met a stranger, so that was always good. At first, though, I wanted to be a on CNN Espanol. So I studied Spanish in high school and I majored in Spanish in college. And I was determined to be on CNN Espanol and did some time over in Spain during my studies, but quickly realized maybe that wasn't for me. And so just got into, good old English reporting. And I just loved asking a lot of questions and the variety of each day. I could never have seen myself sit one place. And I loved that one day it was out, talking to a political candidate and really, giving them hell about their campaign and asking 100 million questions. And then I'm talking to an entrepreneur and then I'm talking to a nonprofit about helping them raise funds. And I love the variety of that with television news.
What was your favorite part about TV news?
I think my favorite part about TV news was genuinely getting to meet people and then getting to understand a variety of industries. And now, as I think about it as an entrepreneur running Pence Media Group, I also have another business called Indie Nanny Concierge. I got to meet so many different people who were doing things in the world, oftentimes selling services or selling products or selling goods. And I don't realize that was hugely impactful to how then I could think about structuring my business, my services, how I could come into a business who we were servicing them, they were selling a product or a service or a good. And I've been like, I've seen this before. So I love the experience I even got from TV that helped me be a better executor as a CEO.
There were a lot of things you liked about TV. What didn't you like?
The reality was the only thing I didn't like was that you had no opportunity for flexibility.
Yeah.
And as a zero-sum industry, only 5 morning anchors in town, only
Right.
5 evening females in town. And I was always proud to be one of those. I was at the top. But as a zero-sum industry, it made the industry uber competitive. And you never really got to work as closely as a team with the entire newsroom. Yes, I became close with videographers and producers and editors. But the reality was, in a zero-sum industry, sometimes you didn't get that same feeling from some of the people around you that did the same role.
Right.
And that's why I love being in, the position I am now, because in my work that I do, we've created a culture and a team that is all about, I want to see you succeed. I want to see you elevate, and I'm here to watch you win and not be frustrated about it. That's a big difference that I've learned.
What's your take on media? But I think specifically TV news, because obviously it continues to change, has changed dramatically, certainly since I started. Since you've got out of the day-to-day TV business, it's changed dramatically with social media and all the different things going on, the economics, streaming, you name it. What is your take on the TV news business and its longevity? What do you think the future is?
Well, number one, about the people, I think the people are still good at heart. I think true journalists who want to go in every day, ask those questions, be told no, get fought, with pushback, they are genuinely trying to do good. They're genuinely trying to get information to the public. I believe that to my core. Now, the problem is that the longevity, that part, and that's the real issue, is that now it is all profit-based. And it has to be, because now, 10, 20 years ago, if you weren't on TV, you weren't really an influencer. You didn't really have a platform. I always meet with, young people in high school and in college. I go back and I mentor at DePauw, our favorite place. And I say, why do you want to be on TV? Are you curious? Are you interested in actually creating solutions for the community? Or do you want a platform? And if you want a platform, hell, go be an influencer. Go create a YouTube channel. Go develop a product, a service, a good, or build your brand. And you don't have to do it in the confines of a crazy schedule, 3:30 in the morning to 12 in the afternoon. And so I think that's the scary part of what we're seeing, is television and journalism is being just pulled down, and less good people are going into it, because those types of people and personalities can now find outlets elsewhere. And
Yeah.
that's what really worries me.
Yeah. Good journalists, I think, are storytellers.
Mhm.
I would think your background in storytelling made for a perfect transition into Pence Media Group. Talk about that, and more broadly, Pence Media Group, because you've grown that organization very nicely.
Yeah, we're really proud over here at PMG, as we like to call it. PMG is a group of 20 women. It's not necessarily only trying to be women. It just happens to only be women. I always joke that I live in a fraternity with 4 sons and a husband, and then my work is complete sorority, and I kind of need the balance. But Pence Media Group was created because I got that question, Gary, which was, how do I get my good product or service on TV? How do I tell my story? I have my master's in public affairs. I love writing. I love being curious. I love trying to be innovative about solutions. And I was like, well, wait a second, I can do that. And then it just rolled into this thing where I saw a void in the market for a true PR, marketing, and branding consultancy. I prefer to use the word consultancy instead of an agency because what we built at PMG is a consultancy of women who are experts. These are women who are pros. They've been around for a while. They are not learning on behalf of the client. And we're bringing that expertise and leveraging it based on what the client needs. And we don't believe in the retainer model. We believe in truly looking at, what are you trying to do? Let's scope that out perfectly for you. And then we go out and execute either PR, marketing, or branding. And it's been a lot of fun.
We talk about change in the TV business. There's been dramatic change in the marketing public relations business in Indianapolis. It used to be, there were several firms you think of right off the top of your head that were the big players, if you will.
Yeah.
It's much different now. You're in it. How would you describe the market?
Well, I would say that the market is has been welcoming to innovation. When we started at PMG, I really did grab a bunch of women who had a lot of experience like myself, who at the time, I'm being really candid right now, they were moms who were trying to flex for their families. And I said, come on over here, let's do the consultancy thing. You'll only work about 15, 20 hours a week. Well, now we know it's different. We've got 20 women, 15 full-time employees inside Pence Media Group, and the others are consultants. And I say that word about the market being welcoming to innovation is that at first we were kind of like, oh, they're probably just doing something on the side. Well, now we're getting the same RFPs as everybody else. We have huge clients in town that we're so thankful they took a, chance with us. Lucas Oil Products, National FFA, Connor Prairie, Anthony's Chop House and 3UP, International Firefighters Association, the American Dairy Association, and Roman Automotive Group. And they said, hey, they're doing something interesting, unique over there, and they're very transparent, and they have a different model, and it's worked out nicely for us.
Has there been one thing that's really sparked the growth? You start from ground zero and you build your own company. It's not an easy thing to do. And you're doing it. Was there one thing? I know you have an idea what you feel the culture is, your vision is, and those types of things, but to begin to get clients and get traction, was there something that kind of clicked?
I'm going to assume that it was tied with how I created the culture in the company and also created the processes to deliver services to our clients. And it goes around our tagline, which is consider it done. I'm a very transparent, candid person. I'm a daughter of an Italian, immigrant. So I'm going to give you exactly what I'm thinking. And I felt that our clients really found that to be refreshing. And they were like, oh, you're not trying to sell us this, and you're not demanding this retainer, and you really are trying to create this solution. And our team of women also have that consider it done mindset. And I don't know if that's unique or different. We're not the only ones doing it. This isn't, rocket science by any means, but we are very transparent and approach that consider it done mindset to clients and inside our team. And I think it's been appreciated.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, you're the mother of 4 boys, including twins, right? How do you manage that the proverbial work-family balance? That has to be sometimes, I assume, a circus.
A circus? I don't even know what's past a circus, but that's where we're at. Because, Gary, I have a 9, 9, 8, and 5-year-old.
Oh, my God.
And when I tell you that I am just in the keep them alive phase, I'm in the keep them alive phase. I think we've broken a leg, an arm, a wrist, and had stitches in the last 5 months. That's where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
So, and I also got to say this because it's a big part of our family. One of our sons, Matthew, also has type 1 diabetes, and that is a very serious daily fight. But to answer your question, my parents always say to me that, Nicole, one of your superpowers is that you don't take yourself too seriously, and you're also a world-class delegator. And I think that first part is really important. When you juggle a lot of different things and you have all these goals and you want to build something because you want something for other people and for yourself and create a great environment, you can't take yourself too seriously. You, especially as an entrepreneur. And so that's the first one. And then second, as a world-class delegator, I have a full-time nanny. How could I do this without it? I also created a company called Indie Nanny Concierge because I saw no solution in the marketplace that was actually a consultancy to help professional families find professional nannies. And so you got to ask for help. And it doesn't bother me to ask for expertise from someone else, and it never has. I don't know, thankfully, who I got that from, which parent, but I appreciate that.
How is being a mother and all the things you just talked about that are coming at you every day, how has that impacted your approach to business, to clients, to managing your people?
Actually, I love this question. I never thought of it like that, but I think it's the reason that I created this model as a consultancy. So one of the big things about Pence Media Group, Gary, is that we bill a certain number of hours every single week, and I look at that time tied towards our employees. And that means I'm trying to figure out, do we have capacity to do the work? Because since many of our team members are moms like myself, I do not have the model that other agencies do. I do not let my team members bill more than 30 hours a week. I don't, because if you bill more than 30, you're really working about 40, and then you're really inside your work for about 45 hours.
Mhm.
I don't want that type of employee. I don't want them to get burnt out, mad, annoyed, frustrated, overwhelmed. We also work 8:30 to 4:30 from our homes. We've done the remote thing before it was cool, before COVID, because I said, well, a bunch of moms, don't you want to throw some laundry in and go upstairs and give somebody a smooch in the middle of your day? And so we never had headquarters outside of my basement. Every now and again, we gather there. And so I love your question because it really is how I needed a work environment is the work environment that I created for other people.
Yeah. You mentioned type 1 diabetes is a passion of yours. Your son Matthew
Yeah.
diagnosed, I think, 3 years ago with that disease. Talk about the challenges associated with that. I know you and your husband Jason are big advocates in that area, but what's it like on a daily basis to deal with that?
It's, if anybody could see me right now, I just like, and it takes a minute for me to just take the question and
Yep.
process and then like come back to like being okay with it. I think every parent, okay, I got my thoughts in. I think every parent who has a child with a chronic disease, although ours is manageable, it changes your lives. It is everything about our family. It changed the boys' lives, their brothers' lives. We have technology that allows us to watch Matthew to make sure he's safe. But type 1 diabetes is a load. It's a real load. And more kids than ever are being diagnosed. Obviously, Eli Lilly here, the
Mhm.
forefront, who created insulin that allows Matthew to be alive. I mean, my son has a pancreas that doesn't work, and it never would have worked. Did we know that until he was 5? No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But he has an organ that is effectively dead inside of his body, and he needs medicine every day to live. And the irony is, too much of that insulin will kill him. So it's a load. And all of our grandparents have been trained at Riley, all of our babysitters, there's only 2. You don't, as soon as you got that diagnosis and as soon as you became a family, with type 1 diabetes, like it changes your perspective in a good way. And it also changes what we get to do and don't do, but it will never impact, and we hope, what Matthew gets to do.
Mhm.
This year, we've spent a lot of time. It took us a while because obviously I'd start crying or something like that to be able to be advocates. And now we are very involved at Riley, and we are very involved at, the Juvenile Diabetes Association, which is now called Breakthrough T1D.
Yeah. You mentioned Eli Lilly and Company, and it's amazing, obviously, the research, the work that they're doing, uh, having global impact. And you mentioned Riley as well. Talk about that organization and how important that is.
Well, what's great about this organization? It was almost like I was going to have this happen, which, I wish I could change it, right? But Gary, I've been volunteering for Make-A-Wish since I was a television news anchor in Lexington 14 years ago. I came up to WTHR and Fox 59 and CBS 4, and I brought Wishful Wednesday, this segment that I did with Make-A-Wish on television here in Indianapolis. And then I got connected with Women for Riley through the Make-A-Wish organization, and I became a big advocate and a big volunteer for Women for Riley. And then my son becomes a Riley kid,
Mm.
and I become a Riley mom. I'm very mad that I'm a Riley mom and he's a Riley kid, but I'm also thankful that I had Riley and I knew where to go and who to call and how to navigate that. And so it's almost like that was always going to be the story. And then since all of this, since I've been a staunch advocate and supporter of Riley's the second well-known brand in Indiana. It's here for and doing good things and known for that. We at Pence Media Group have started being a part of their public relations support. And so call it full circle or call it, I don't even know, but we're all in on trying to raise awareness. And Matthew's one Riley kid. He's one kid that goes there all the time for all of his medicine and his follow-ups and his checkups. And we leave that hospital every 90 days. We've hit the ER a couple times and been admitted overnight, but we get to leave. And so every time I tell him, Matthew, look at this, we're walking out and these other kids are not. And he goes, yeah, we're lucky, Mom. And I'm like, you're right, buddy.
Yeah. Another passion of yours is philanthropy. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about that famous Pence political name as well. Your uncle, your dad, got a lot of politics in the family. We'll talk about that and a lot more when the Business and Beyond podcast returns.
At PNC Bank, we're committed to making a difference in the lives of our customers and communities by helping them move forward financially. As a Main Street bank, we try to do right by our customers with every encounter. Our local teams offer personalized financial advice to help guide you in making the best decision. We're proud to be part of your community. PNC Bank. See how we can make a difference for you at pnc.com. Copyright 2022, the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
We build Indiana. The Laborers International Union of North America are men and women building roads and bridges to get Hoosiers where they're going today and a new energy infrastructure that will keep Indiana competitive tomorrow. LIUNA's over 12,000 statewide members also grow local economies, earning good union wages, shopping where they live and work, and paying taxes. We build Indiana for good jobs and stronger communities. The Laborers International Union of North America. We are LIUNA.
And welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week is Nicole Pence Becker. She is the founder and operator of Pence Media Group, a long history in television news in Indiana and in some other places as well, and now a successful entrepreneur. And Nicole, we were talking about your passions in the first half of the podcast. One of them is philanthropy. And where did that whole interest and passion around philanthropy and giving back come from?
It absolutely came from my time in television news. So I would get assigned the opportunity to go cover something, whether it was, the Villages fundraiser or Make-A-Wish or, United Way or CICF. And I'd go do these stories. We'd put them on TV, and then the emails and the outreach that would happen after you covered something like that and the receipts for the foundation, it would change their trajectory. And I realized, my goodness, is their power in journalism to influence good. And so I became just obsessed with getting involved in certain organizations, Make-A-Wish, Women for Riley, He Knows Your Name, Tyler Trent. And so when I started Pence Media Group, I said, absolutely, a third of the vertical at Pence Media Group is going to be nonprofits. And there's some big nonprofits that we work with, like National FFA, Hancock Health, HealthNet, International Firefighters Association in Washington, D.C. We are the agency of record for that national client. But then there's the smaller ones, like Volunteers of America and Walk Your Plans and Tyler Trent. And we are making such an impact for those smaller organizations that it's so exciting to see. And of course, at Pence Media Group, we give those nonprofits and foundations a discounted rate. And it's really fun to watch their trajectory. Folds of Honor is a big client of ours. And we have been working with them for years, and to show them that, hey, we're going to be good stewards of your money and we're going to make PR work for you and marketing and social and paid and brand development, whatever you need. We're basically their CMO, and they can't find this much expertise in one person normally to afford that same rate. And we do it for them. And it's just such a beautiful relationship.
Yeah. The Pence name is certainly very well known in Indiana politics. Of course, your uncle Mike, the former Indiana governor, who went on to become vice president. Your dad, former Indiana congressman as well, Greg. What was it like being in that political environment? And do you have any political leanings? Do you like viewing from afar?
I love these questions because people always look at me and initially they're like, she is or she isn't. I look at them like, I am. Like, let's get it out of the way and let's keep moving. But I'm also so proud of all of those family members. They are great humans, good people, incredible leaders, and they've done so much. But I have taken the interest of not being involved in politics. So my father, Greg Pence, he ran for Congress and he called me up. And this was before I started PMG. And he said, I need a good campaign manager, communications manager. And I said, yeah, we'll find you one. And he said, no, you're going to do it. I said, I am absolutely not going to do it. Fought for about 48 hours and I lost. But Gary, I did one campaign, my father's, and I got to learn all the things I didn't know. I knew how to do video production from my time in TV. I knew PR. I knew crisis communications. I knew speech writing, but I didn't know paid media, paid marketing, social, digital, all of that. Doing that campaign as his communications manager, just getting him through the primary. And then I was like, toodaloo, never again. Yeah. And that was hugely beneficial to me. Pence Media Group does not do any political campaigns. I did not want to grow PMG that way, or I would have been told, oh, well, you did it and you drafted off the name. Don't have a single one. Don't have any government contract. Yep. So when I say to you, I've kind of avoided it, I have absolutely avoided it. Yeah. But with my master's in public affairs, I love the intersection of communications and community and public affairs. But maybe I'm just too candid and it's probably not a good use of my time. But I say in that in jest that I say I'm not interested in getting involved myself. However, I'm so thankful when good candidates step up to say yes, because no one wants to do that job anymore. And it is the most thankless job to serve in any capacity, state rep, governor, lieutenant governor, Congress, anything. No one has any idea how hard those people work and what they sacrifice. And so when someone else is enthusiastic about doing that, I'm always there to say thank you. I just don't see it for me.
What was it like when your uncle Mike became governor and then ultimately vice president, obviously on a national, global stage? Because you were in the media business then, right?
Was.
What was that like?
And, Congress, he was my congressman in high school. I couldn't vote, and then all of a sudden I could vote, and I got so excited because I could go in and hit that button for Uncle Mike, and I was so proud. And then fast forward, my TV career going, his political career going, and when he ran for governor is around the same time I came up from Kentucky to Indiana. And I always said to every news director, separation of church and state. I'm not interested in covering that, talking through that, going on that, and I think that's important for the viewer. And then I was the main anchor on CBS 4 this morning, and he was, a candidate for vice president. So I just stopped reading any of those reads, went on and did a whole thing on television confirming that I would stay disassociated from any of that scripts and be a part of that. And then the night of, New York City when they won, I was 7.5 months pregnant with Matthew. It was 2:30 in the morning and we were all sitting around like this. I could barely keep my eyes open. And Secret Service is like, can you please sit down? You look uncomfortable. And I was like, yeah, maybe I do need a chair. So they brought me one. And then they came back and said, you think you guys won? And it was like, wait, what? We had all gone to New York because we're the closest family, and we were going to be there whether they won or not. And they won. And I came back to the newsroom literally 36 hours later at 2:30 in the morning. And the newsroom was like, what do we do about this? I said, same thing. I'm not associated with it. And, you guys are going to do the reporting you need to do. And that's it. And then, of course, I believe in timing and God's, decision making. And 4 months later, I had Matthew, and I had a 1-year-old and a 1-year-old and a newborn. And I said, this seems like it's a good time
Yeah.
to retire from TV. And it all worked out just as it should.
Did you ever talk shop with Mike? I mean, just a bit, about communications, media policy, anything, any heart-to-heart conversations you remember?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm so grateful to have incredible role models and my uncle, my aunts, my father. I mean, they're people who lead with integrity. Most recently, I'm on the One Zone board. And most recently, the One Zone up in Hamilton County, we hosted a large event with obviously former Vice President Mike Pence and Governor Holcomb and Governor Daniels. And the three of them just sat up there and they chatted about leadership. And one of the things that I'm always so impressed, and I love to hear, even though I hear it all the time from my uncle, either I call him personally and ask him for advice or over the years, but even to hear it in a crowd, it's like his intentionality to always do what's right and to make the right decision, regardless of what other people think, has always been something that I've admired and emulated to the best of my ability. And I'm thankful for him in showing me that way.
What's it like? You mentioned you're a close family, and Mike, your dad, obviously. And when you look at what's it like I've always wondered that, to go through when you look at some, not all, but some media coverage, and it's not right.
It's inaccurate.
It's not accurate. Yeah. And maybe a lot nasty. What's it
Mhm.
like to deal with that on a personal basis?
It was a lot. It was a lot for a lot of people in our family. It's a lot for anybody with a family member in a position of influence or power. And I think my big takeaway is like, there were moments throughout the years and still are where people are inherently just trying to be divisive. Oh, because you're related to that person or because also have this alignment, you must think exactly like that. And I've never felt such negative energy in my life until that time frame. And sometimes it still happens and people have preconceived notions about me or someone else, but that's the sad part of what I think has happened in the last recent years with the media and with the public. They're equal parts at fault, is people are just incredibly ready to assume. They're in the business of assumption. And it's like, wait a second. We're supposed to be, especially in journalism, the business of curiosity. And I can't understand when that shifted, why that shifted. And I think that's aligned with profits, but it's also aligned with people want divisiveness.
Yeah.
They want to either turn on Fox News and be fed their opinion or turned on CNN and fed their opinion. And no more are we neutral. One of the things that I felt really proud about, I created a show called Newspoint at 11 on Fox 59. I was the main anchor and the solo anchor. And Newspoint was straight to the point, the Consider It Done mindset now at Pence Media Group. And one of the things I said, never put an adjective in. I don't want an adjective. I want nothing in. Our executive producer, she was like, agreed. Don't tell me that Trump begrudgingly answered the question. Just say Trump answered the question. Roll the tape. Let me, as a viewer, decide if he was begrudgingly, if he was enthusiastic. I don't care what you want to interpret it as. I'm just telling you what happened. And I think that assumption world and culture that we live in now is the only thing that still irks me about them, or the only thing that bothers me about the media and makes me worried for public discourse.
Yeah. Okay, Nicole, look in the crystal ball. What do you see for Pence Media Group as you look out maybe 5 or 10 years? What's that vision you have for the firm?
I think the vision for the firm is to keep getting great people inside of it who want to do great work along great clients. And that's such a stock answer for you, Gary. However, it's the truth. We've grown because of our client business pipeline. There were client projects that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know who we're going to bring in to get this one or staff this one, but we can't say no. We can't say no to Riley, National FFA, Church Hiddle and Antrim, Crystal Signature Events, name them. We've got 40 plus clients every single month. And we do a lot of national work now. And so it's kind of like, if it keeps coming, we're going to keep going. And I think one of the things that I'm interested in is continuing to demonstrate the benefits of a healthy culture, especially one that's supportive of the working mom. And I will never want any of our team members to sacrifice the opportunity. Frankly, I know this sounds so goofy, but to run over to a kid's program at school without having to take PTO or feel overwhelmed by that. Because I could never do that stuff when I was on TV. It just didn't allow that. And so I'm glad and proud of the culture we've built. And I want to keep finessing that to make it really the closest opportunity to that elusive phrase of work-life balance.
Well, I think you're doing it very well. Nicole Pence Becker, the founder and owner of Pence Media Group, and you've done so much in TV, giving back to community. Your husband, Jason's a great guy. Your father-in-law, David Becker, one of the great entrepreneurs. He really is, and has been such a driver for innovation and entrepreneurship in our state. So thanks for all you do. Thanks for taking the time to be on the podcast as well, Nicole.
Thanks for making entrepreneurs and entrepreneurialism still something that is fun to talk about. Yeah. That's what I love about this conversation and your podcasts and everything you do at Inside Indiana Business. Like, it is about pushing that entrepreneur through the moments that are challenging to say, hey, but there's another side, and like, that's fun too. So Gary, thank you for that.
I appreciate that. Nicole Pence Becker. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. We're a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can download all of our episodes and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
On the go? So are we. Get the IBJ Media app, your all-in-one news source for Indiana business news. Get breaking news alerts, read every story from IBJ, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Lawyer, and listen to your favorite podcasts all in one place. Big news, small screen. Search IBJ Media and download the app today.